Just weeks before Mica Miller's death, she made one last attempt to settle things peacefully with her pastor husband, John Paul Miller, by agreeing to meet with him one night in March. But of course, John Paul Miller's version of how that meeting went is very different than what friends of Mica say how it went.
She came over to the house. The last time I saw her was a few weeks before she passed away. We spent about 4 hours together, and we hugged and kissed, and she was in and out of psychotic conversation.
But before we dive deeper into that meeting, I need to show you on the timeline when this occurred. Remember, in the early hours of March 11th, after separating with her husband, Mica Miller hung out with a young, handsome young man named DJ. Now, DJ was a staff member at John Paul Miller's church, Solid Rock, and he and Mica became close friends, especially because they both loved missions. In the early morning hours of March 11th, Mica and DJ shared a kiss on the beach because Mica had moved on from her abusive husband. Though they were separated and they hadn't been living together for many months and had a postnuptial agreement saying that they were allowed to see other people, John Paul Miller lost it. And he fired DJ.
Yeah, where did you touch her?
Nowhere below reproach. I mean, that's a promise.
Well, the person that saw and got the picture said that you touched her chest.
We kissed, so maybe like her face, neck, but I promise you, nothing below the neck, chest.
And she touched you where?
Just the same place, like my face. And
my guy said there was more than that.
More than what?
More than what you're telling me.
Well, I'm telling you, if you have the videos and the pictures, you can fact check it.
I mean, he'll have them to me by morning time. But he told me there was more than that.
And he even told his entire church that DJ and Mica were doing more than kissing, which was a lie. He was actively slandering his soon-to-be ex-wife and now former employee. Now, a couple days later on March 13th, Tricia Ross, the assistant to John Paul Miller, is instructed by him to file a police report on Mica, saying that she stole thousands of dollars from Solid Rock. Police found no such thing. Then, the next day, Mica Miller calls police, saying she has found another tracking device on her vehicle. Then, on March 15th, Mica and John Paul have a court date in probate court, where JP tries to lie to the court, and they don't believe him. Mica wins.
Before she passed away, I took her to probate court, and in 3 minutes time, she went in, she walked back out. When I went in, they said, your wife is mentally ill and she needs medicine desperately. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's get her the medicine. Let's get her help. And they said she's not a danger to anybody in society, so we can't force her to do it.
That's simply not true. And again, remember, on that same day, Mica reported another one of her tires being slashed. I lay out that entire week for this reason. The meeting in the car happened in between all of that chaos on March 12th. Remember, in this meeting, John Paul Miller claims that Mica was begging to come home, but her family wouldn't let her, that she was mentally unstable during this meeting, that they were kissing.
She came over to the house. The last time I saw her was a few weeks before she passed away. We spent about 4 hours together, and we hugged and kissed, and she was in and out of psychotic conversation. She wants to come home so bad, but her family won't let her. But she desperately wanted to come home. She was just so afraid her family would disown her.
Well, I have the audio from that meeting. And once again, John Paul Miller is a liar.
And yeah, when DJ comforted me because you were crazy, I'm still a helpmate. I made a mistake with him. I made a mistake. And I said, go home and tell your mom what just happened. I'm going to go home and tell my father. I'm going to tell whoever needs to know to keep me accountable so I never fall into that temptation again. That's what I told him.
You said that you told him to lie
No.
and not answer the phone and not
No,
talk to me.
no.
That's
Don't,
what it says on the recording. No,
wait.
it's on the recording.
I don't care what's on the recording.
Okay.
You're getting distracted from what I'm trying to tell you.
Go inside. I'll make
No.
you coffee. I'll make you coffee.
No. If you want to make coffee and bring it out here, you can.
Okay, I don't know how to make coffee. I lied. I'm sorry.
We could be friends, you know.
Listen to it one more time.
And yeah, when DJ comforted me because you were crazy, I'm still a helpmate. I made a mistake with him. I made a mistake. And I said, go home and tell your mom what just happened. I'm going to go home and tell my father. I'm going to tell whoever needs to know to keep me accountable so I never fall into that temptation again. That's what I told him.
You said that you told him to lie
No.
and not answer the phone and not talk to me.
No.
That's what it says on the recording. No,
wait.
it's on the recording.
I don't care what's on the recording.
Okay.
You're getting distracted from what I'm trying to tell you.
Go inside. I'll make
No.
you coffee. I'll make you coffee.
No. If you want to make coffee and bring it out here, you can.
Okay, I don't know how to make coffee. I lied. I'm sorry.
We could be friends, you know.
This is clear evidence that Mica is done with John Paul Miller. She tells him that she's not interested in being with him, that they can only be friends. He invites her inside, but she immediately tells him no. And if anyone sounds mentally unstable, depressed, manic, schizophrenic, bipolar, it's not Mica. It's John Paul, as we have seen time and time again. Mica is in control. Mica sounds stable and in charge. Mica sounds like she wants to live. And Mica sounds like the very person that witnesses described in the final months of her life. Mica is normal. Remember, the very next day, Trisha Ross had a police report filed against Mica. The day after that, Mica finds another tracking device on her car. And the very next day after that, John Paul Miller brings his best friend Mark Kaufman to court to try and make up lies about Mica Miller in court that day. And they did not believe John Paul. The only thing that Mica lost that day was the restraining order because of this meeting.
And he was texting me at this point saying, I'll be at your house at 12:55. I'm armed and ready.
If this guy can get this hot mama right here in a wheelchair, you have no excuse.
So there's still parked.
Please, officer.
All right, wave them down. Wave them down.
Okay.
Hope I'm talking to my husband.
The night in the car did not go the way John Paul Miller had hoped. Mica had him on video, admitting to the things he did. Yes, Mica had him on video, admitting to the things he did.
But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?
And because she didn't want to come back to him, the revenge tour began. And just over a month later, Mica Miller was dead.
Robertson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
The FBI. They're gonna get your ass.
Wife for my dreams, if you leave, I promise it'd be a nightmare.
A lot of people want to know if you murdered your wife.
I had $1,300 in my pocket and burned it.
On 900 milligrams of lithium. I'm seeing a counselor every week. I'm going to inner healing. I'm going to deliverance 3 times a week with pastors in the area. I'm doing everything I can just to be able to get out of bed. I'm so depressed. I want to die. I'm battling thoughts. I have unforgiveness, hatred, demons coming out of me.
Don't leave me to my nightmares.